Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Hi Liz, good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Excited to have you on today. It's a sleepy
Yeah,
Wednesday after Labor Day, um, but excited to have you. So, welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Plain Speak, where we dive into the minds shaping the future of technology, commerce, and customer experience in the backdrop of 2024. Today, we are super excited to have with us a true visionary in the realm of e-commerce and customer service, Mike Wu. Mike currently serves as the Senior Director of E-commerce and Customer Experience at Monos.com, where he's been instrumental in weaving together technology, operations, and human-centric design to elevate customer interactions to what he describes as a five-star hotel quality experience. His journey at Monos through a ton of growth has seen him lead not just one, but two pivotal teams focusing on creating memorable customer journeys, literally and metaphorically, through simplicity, value analytics, and genuine human connections. His career before that includes significant roles in luxury hospitality, like L'Hermitage in Vancouver, innovative ventures, and Mike's philosophy centers around seeing things in their simplest form, connecting dots, nurturing growth and technology, operations, and most importantly, in people. So I'm super excited. Thank you all for joining us as we explore Mike's insights on e-commerce, the art of customer happiness, and how he applies his diverse background in history, psychology, and luxury service to create unparalleled customer experiences. With all of that, Mike, thank you so much for joining us, and please welcome Mike Wu today.
awesome. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, that's quite an intro, but thank you so much.
Now, I'm excited to have you. So maybe to give us a little bit more context there, tell us about your journey into, e-commerce customer service and everything that's brought you there.
Yeah. I started in a hotel background, like you mentioned. Always been hotels. Always wanted to grow in hotels, and then part of my journey, I got the opportunity to uh, get into this partnership. Basically, was able to create websites. It was in the pastry industry. It was for a company called Cassandra Inc., where it was basically just working with best chefs around the world. We created online classes. That's really where I first got my hands on how to build websites, Shopify, and really sort of get into the online platform of customer experience and customer service. You're basically serving people that are at home, serving online classes, because trying to figure out how to really bring value to them through the online portal and really allow them to learn, grow, develop on their own time through videos.
Fascinating. And this was pre-COVID. So y'all were really early to the curve, and it's really meant to be like a super high-end experience, right?
Yeah, it was pre-COVID, and then I actually left when COVID hit. I joined a different company called Aromatech. But that time, that company really had the perfect platform because everyone's at home that time. People were buying videos, people wanted to grow, wanted to learn at home, wanted to try out different things. So yeah, after I left, the company grew quite a bit. So I was really, I guess, proud to be able to be part of that, set up the platform for them for success.
Fascinating. So it seems like there's this theme. At first, it was designing experiences at luxury hospitality, right? And then sort of bridging that into the home. Because Aromatech, I'm guessing during COVID, was also a little bit of how do you bring those memories, right, that you used to have in luxury spaces? How do you bring those into the home throughout COVID?
Yeah,
Fascinating.
it was the same thing, right? It was like people at home wanting to revamp their homes, wanting to decorate their homes. So Aromatech was also the perfect product. And then the models as well. It's like after COVID ended, it was like the perfect product to grow as well that time. So it's like been lucky so far, I would say.
Okay, Mike, separate question. I got to see your investment portfolio because you are calling literally every trend as they happen and designing
Oh,
them.
yeah, I would say calling it, but just definitely grateful and lucky so far for sure.
Definitely. So that's really quite an evolution, not just through how how everything has really changed and consumer behavior has changed throughout COVID before and after, but also tell us a little bit about how these different experiences have shaped how you approach customer service excellence. And how do you think about customer service and experience at Monos relative to maybe some of these higher touch in-person services?
Yeah, I think working in a hotel, you definitely learn to think fast and be quick. You really learn to how to direct the customer experience. I always see customer service as not just Q&A or about FAQs. It's really about where do you want the customer to be and how to direct them to that specific point so that they can experience what you created for them.
Yeah.
I think with the same with us online as well. It's about recognizing that. It's about meeting the customers where it really triggers them. Like, for example, I think these days where people are always on social media, Instagram, TikTok, sort of the attention span is really low, right? So it's like really, they want quick instant gratification. So, we recently transformed the way we communicate to be really quick, even in like email form communication, for example. We're transforming that to really communicate on email where we're talking like we're on chat. So instead of saying like, hi Liz, hope you're doing well, would love to introduce you to these products. We're really just about, hey Liz, like we saw you taking a look at this, would you be interested in these products? These like short form conversations, so that, in a way, it triggers the customer to feel like they're actually talking to someone very efficient, very personable, very human in a way. So it brings out a whole different sort of experience and value where it makes them feel comfortable with you, so that they're better able to convert, or higher probability to convert in a way.
Interesting. It's really that sense of, it's that sense of engagement and meeting them where they are, right? It sounds like there's not one, hey, this is how it should always be, but rather it's given your consumer, given where they are, what they're doing, what their mindset is, how do you meet them in that moment to create that sense of engagement?
Totally.
Interesting. Now, your title, your role here at Monos, and the way you just described your evolution is really, really kind of enviable, maybe to some extent, right? You're running e-commerce as well as customer experience. And it sounds like you really started from the hospitality customer experience side, and you like dropped a little hint earlier, which is, and then you realized you could start getting into the tech side of things and building Shopify stores. What sort of inspired and gave you the confidence to make that transition? Because I think in a lot of ways, you're kind of living in the future where a lot of people today are really trying to connect experience as not both the e-commerce as well as the support as well as the overall experience. And it sort of sounds like you've organically grown into both. How do you think about the two sides of the coin in a sense, and how did you get into that?
Yeah. Well, like I always saw customer service as sort of the center part of operations. I know some companies will see customer service as just sort of
service oriented.
Yeah, like the last in line, I would say, where they're just there to answer customers' questions, handle complaints, things like that. But you have so much data in customer service, right? That you're able to really disseminate that data into different departments, so they can tackle issues at the source. Like, for example, if you have product issues, if customers are complaining about late shipments, missed shipments, things like that, right? Or refunds, returns. It's not really the customer service responsibility up to like handle those. It's really those different departments that are handling those product issues, or like QA, or like factories, right? So if you're able to really push customer service to really dissect that data, disseminate to different departments, then you can create a much better product, reduce shipping errors, improve processes, and in return, you actually have less tickets, because only unhappy customers will reach out to customer service, right? Maybe like 20% of customers are happy, but 80% you see in the email inbox is really customers that need help. So like if you're able to solve that, you're able to scale, you're able to grow, you're able to reduce cost at the source, instead of trying to add headcount to tackle those tickets after, right? And then I saw that part from a customer experience standpoint, but I saw that you can also be way ahead of it, a few steps ahead, if you're able to really manage and control e-com experience part. So I see like customer service that manage the back end, and e-com as sort of being on the offense, right? Really able to be a step ahead and tackle those points, so that you can really control the whole experience from beginning to the end. Yeah, so far, I would say myself, I'm not a traditional e-com person. I'm more of like an e-com operation. So I really try to connect every department into the e-com platform, and then able to work together, instead of just seeing e-com as conversion, analytics, SEO. I'm really more seeing e-com as just how we can be efficient from a whole operation standpoint and tie everything together.
That is the dream for a lot of orgs, right? The idea that you can take feedback, close the loop, use that to drive change, use it before it's an issue. Because you're right, customer contacts, for the most part, are because a customer fell out of the ideal out of the ideal experience path, right? Something happened. They needed a promo code. They forgot something. Something went wrong in some sense for them to then generate that contact. And so you're zooming out and saying, how do we figure that out beforehand? Which is the dream. What does the reality look like? Like when you how do you design the e-commerce experience to start to spot some of these things before they become contacts? Like in practice, feedback mechanism.
Yeah, I would say really just trust your team, right? I think like the way our customer service team is set up, we have no escalation process. So basically every agent is able to handle the customer, able to make decisions, able to refund the customer, able to give a free product to the customer. I think with that, you're basically empowering your team to absorb all information, and in turn, they can give you great feedback. We actually, our CX team is actually set up to be very flat. So basically, there's only one lead, and everyone's reporting to that one lead. So we're always encouraging group conversations instead of private ones. So this way, any issue that's brought up, we can all learn, and then we can basically get information real time. It actually helps me pinpoint exactly like, oh, customers are complaining about the refund fee, or customers are, or like a free gift mechanism online for email signups is not working properly. I'm able to pick those up right away because we just call it out right away in our Slack channel. And that's able to, and then we move very fast, able to fix those issues right away. Basically, if something's not working, I would change it the same day. I'll be like, okay, this doesn't feel right. Let's change it. Let's reduce the return fee. Let's test this out. Oh, actually, that's not working. Maybe let's change it back, right? So it's like just have fun with it at the same time and not be afraid to test.
Interesting. But that a lot of that sounds like requires, yes, on the reporting mechanism, grounds up, agents really see everything, right? And then you're making changes. Do you have any tips or thoughts, or maybe like philosophies or processes on how you then measure the outputs? Are you using specialized reporting? Are you in Shopify? Because I think this is what a lot of people want to do, but maybe struggle having all of the pieces to operationalize it.
Yeah, I would say from a data analytics standpoint, I mostly use it to confirm my hypothesis instead of trying to let it tell me what is happening. So because I'm very hands-on, it allows me to really sort of see and pinpoint what is happening and what's returning, and then basically just using keeping it simple, just using Shopify metrics, using heat maps, using customer data, going to our tickets to pull customer information, to pull different conversations. Using AI to summarize all the conversations together. Really, that allows me to sort of verify if I'm right or wrong, and then I think really just have to be hands-on. I think being hands-on is the best way to learn. Being hands-on is the best way to just get information. So that's really, honestly, like I would say it's not even complicated. It's just sort of the work ethic, the work style, sort of the motivation to learn and know what's up.
Easier said than done, but super, super, super cool. Now, when we think about the different modes of experience, right? E-commerce is obviously a big one. And if I'm not mistaken, Mono started online first, right?
Yes, correct.
Perfect. And now y'all have 2 stores, Vancouver and Toronto. How have you thought about that transition? What is the sort of philosophy behind translating online to in-person? And how do you think about bridging that gap? Is there a different experience for the consumer?
Yeah, it's really based on one simple concept. So basically, we want the customers, if they're having a conversation with us online, they're able to continue the same conversation in store and vice versa. So thinking about that, it's like, okay, how can we build the structured operations around that? So basically, online, we train our retail staff in our online CX team when they first start, so they can understand what we do, and so they can be able to translate in store. We want Shopify POS, and if you used Shopify POS before, It's literally like walking into a real life video game that you've been working online and playing.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's the same operations. You refund the same way, you talk to the customer the same way, you sell the product the same way, you create bundles the same way.
Mhm.
So if you have that training online and just really merge those two, just really focus on how do we basically translate the online experience into the offline experience, but make it exactly the same, and just create sort of this 3D version, this 3D model, right? This real life model.
Yeah.
And then everything just sort of develops, and then it just works. It just works. If you keep it simple, it just works. Like I don't really know how else to describe it, but we just focus on that, and then we build everything around it.
Sure. And it sounds like a lot of this is connection, right? It's just the connecting the experiences, the desire to learn and be curious and go through all of that. I am now very curious about the VR pop-up, though, in the metaverse or something. But that makes a lot of sense. I'm also a little bit curious about this part because I know we work with some brands that have the in-store and the online experience. And it's really cool to be able to translate that in 3D. Sometimes we found that the consumer can have a pretty high expectation of, hey, this was my online conversation, this is my in-store conversation. How do we pass issues back and forth? Have y'all run into that at all? I'm curious how you solve that if that comes up at all.
Yeah, we stay close touch with our retail team. The retail team, basically, the way they work is, they check customer out on an iPad, and has the Shopify POS on there. But the POS is basically like their mobile device, so they're on Slack, they're on emails. So basically, we're communicating real time with the retail staff every single day, every single hour. If a customer's coming to the store and they were talking to the online staff, they say, "Oh, I'm going to pick up the check-in large and midnight black," or let the store team know right away, and they will actually hold the order for them. If a customer filed a warranty claim online, but actually walked in the store and the store team took care of it,
They'll see
the
it.
store team will let us know, so that will basically close it off, so that we don't have to re-email the customer or email the customer twice. So we're always in that close communication. I think the key is just to be able to communicate and just really create that bridge between the two teams, and then just have transparency within the company and the team, so that we're always visible. Again, I think goes back to the concept I mentioned earlier, just always discourage conversations and keep it in the open channels.
That makes sense because it's really just that transparency to be able to hand off. Because it feels like, as I'm listening to you describe a lot of what your team does, it almost feels like both online as well as in retail, they're kind of shepherding the customer along the journey, right? They're not there as like a port of like, I don't know, final resort where it's like, hey, everything's gone wrong. Can you fix it? A lot of what you're describing here actually feels like they're following along in that journey, right? And creating part of the experience. And you're using data and tech to give them all of those touch points to try and smooth it out. It actually sort of feels like a high-end hotel or restaurant dining experience, right? Where there's a lot of data behind the scenes and they're shepherding the consumer along to like perfect that experience. Which is really,
Yeah,
I don't feel like that's something I hear often in e-commerce.
yeah. I think you mentioned something earlier about you know the customers that are in your inbox are the ones that fall off of the journey path, right? So it's really, if you see it that way, and then I try to train and teach my team to see it that way, instead of seeing it as instead of seeing customer service as like stressful, time consuming because you're talking to customers going back from remote, just see it as, okay, why are they here, and then what happened to them, right? And then how do we get them back to where we want them to be, right? If a customer is complaining about not getting the product, not getting a refund, not the return process, okay, what is actually happening, and then how do we just get them back to that spot where we want them to be? And then in turn, your team is sort of able to sort of be one step ahead or a few steps ahead, and then able to just see these different interactions that just sort of tasks, back and forth conversations where they're trying to figure out, right? So basically my team, whenever an issue comes up, they will already know what's the next step, or what do you think of the next step, instead of
Like
trying to
a
pinpoint
puzzle,
the
not a
customer. Yeah,
task.
yeah.
Cool. Cool. I mean, with all of that, I'm guessing there's maybe some like easy things like, setting tracking notifications, things like that are proactive. Just out of curiosity, in the last couple of years, have there been any like tools and or tricks or things that you can live without that you think really help your team on a day-to-day basis that might be less obvious to people?
Yeah, I would say, this year we've been focusing on a lot of different automations and integrations.
Mhm.
Like I know your company does that a lot, but I think really just been focusing on, okay, what's the most time consuming for the agent? Like for example, when we have a sale, price adjustment is the biggest one, right?
Yep.
Customers email me back, how to, and then we have to do the calculation manually, refund
Hard.
them. Yeah. So we actually, built a platform or built a automation right now that basically pulls the order from Shopify, looks at the order on the website right now, and auto calculates the price adjustment for them and gives them the tax rate so they can multiply the tax rate. And just looking at those little things, and then I think it's easier now than before because all these different integrations, even with like Google Sheets, are available right now, right? That makes things easier. So just really be aware of all these different types of technology so that you can just build. And then I don't think it's about a platform that, that like saves your team or like saves your company, right? It's really about, okay, how can you cut down all these little steps? They might take like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, right? They might save even like 1 minute. It's not a lot, but if you add them up
Mhm.
for the whole year, it's probably like a day, 2 days, right? And that equals cost, equals labor, equals allows your team to focus on the conversations.
Yeah, I mean, it's quality of life, right? It's little quality of life improvements where it actually is funny how I think it actually parallels a lot of the products and services you've worked with, right? Like, yes, you can buy a suitcase, but quality of life, think about all the little design features that then elevate the experience, right? Of monos
Mhm.
versus, what I just got from TJ Maxx. Super cool. And maybe with that, sort of on this theme, I mean, as we move into the next 5 to 10 years, tell me a little bit about your vision for the future of customer experience and how you want to think about maybe upskilling your team, different emerging technologies. What's your philosophy on that?
Yeah, we're really exploring AI right now, with like the AI trend, really seeing how AI can help us with conversations. But like I was talking to this with your colleague Wayne yesterday.
Yeah.
I see it as really AI is able to, yeah, alleviate time, alleviate labor right now, right? But it frees up your current team to be able to do more in the future. Like I know companies will talk about like, oh, what am I going to do with my agents if AI is in place? Should I still keep them? But in turn, you should really believe that your company's going to grow, right? Because your company's going to grow maybe 5x, 10x in the future. So AI maybe will save you time now, but I don't think it's going to sort of save you for the next 5 to 10 years and get you to a certain point, but it allows you to really balance out your agents so that they can do more future. So how do you alleviate the work for your agents now so that you can help them scale for the future, help them develop, teach them new skills, teach them new knowledge, right? Put them in different positions. Like for example, we've been working on these different automations, cutting out little stuff for the past 2 to 3 years. We've grown probably 20 to 30% last year. From 2021, it was like about like 500%.
Yeah.
But we basically haven't hired anyone new in our CX team for the past 2 to 3 years. We haven't added headcount. We've actually passed down or transferred different team members to different departments to support other channels. But
Yeah.
but yeah, but like I've seen the results. If we're cutting down all those little steps, creating automations, that actually helps us scale. Our agents right now are actually doing more, even with the same amount of team. Where overall as a team, we're doing more tickets, we're talking to more customers, we're creating more experiences. But we're basically working more efficiently with the use of technology. So I think it's important to see technology as a balance between those two,
Mhm.
and yeah, it just really allows your team to scale and really grow and develop to do more.
Yeah. And upskill. I love that point on upskilling because, well, one, how cool you want to grow the team, but two, how cool to take that customer experience DNA and like spread it to other departments of the team, right? Of the overall
Yeah,
company.
Totally.
Very, very cool. Well, I know there's a lot more to talk about here, and I really do want to talk about your stock portfolio, but we are coming close to the end of our time here. Any last or parting words of wisdom for CX leaders before we move into our rolling questions?
Yeah, really, I would say take care of the customer, right? Think of it from both the business perspective and from the customer standpoint. I always believe, and I always tell my team this: if a customer doesn't like our products, they should. That's what we find. They should always love our brand and customer service. So if a customer wants to return, they really don't like a product, don't try to like force them to keep it, right? Don't try to convince them. Make it feel easy. Give them a good experience. Give them a great return experience. So in return, I lose the sale, but they might tell their friends, "Oh, actually, like the product didn't work for me, but no, I think Liz at Models was great. She took care of me. Like go talk to her. Like highly recommend it. Like they take care of you, even though you want a refund, right? So don't see refunds, don't see losing sales as something negative. Use it as an opportunity, right? In turn, and in the end, it could be seen as just a marketing cost for you.
But look at the bigger picture. Fascinating. Well, Mike, totally different question. If you were not directing e-commerce and customer experience at Monos or another company, what would you be doing instead?
I would probably say I'll probably own a restaurant.
Oh,
Uh,
what kind of restaurant?
I'll probably own either an Italian restaurant or a Japanese restaurant, but really focusing on the experience, on like the touch points when you first enter the restaurant, and really create a good experience for you from start to finish. Like not just taste, but also smell, also touch, also sight as well. Always want to do that, but maybe one day.
Okay, if you ever do find yourself in Dallas, Texas, which I know is far from Vancouver, let me know. We have an Italian-Japanese fusion restaurant called Ramen Sakaya Akira. That's actually incredible.
Cool.
But
Awesome. Yeah, that's what you know.
that question was coming to us from Carolyn Capitello, head of CX at Intelligent Foods, who said she would be a park ranger instead. So appreciate the context, Mike, and I'm excited to see you open that restaurant someday. You got to let us know. What's your rolling question for our next Plain Speak guest? It's going to be Jennifer Schmidt coming in as head of operations and service at Rhythm Energy.
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe what was that one moment where, let's say, things fell apart, and then with one customer, and what was the issue, and how did you fix it?
I love that. Excited to see what Jen says. But Mike, do you have an anecdote that stands out from your time in CX?
Yeah, I would say I checked the customer into the wrong room when I was working at the hotel. That's always a big no-no. That's always it doesn't go well. So yes, that's it.
What was the
What's the turnaround? Free stay for 5 nights and free food. We didn't have to do that, but it was definitely one of those things where you should think about the long-term value. Save the customer now, and then they'll come back in the future because they'll definitely remember it, even with that small mishap.
I bet. Yeah, above and beyond, but designing for that long-term experience, which Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone else, thank you for spending 30 minutes out of your lunch with us. I love that theme just runs through all of this. Thank you for sharing some of your experiences at Monos and beyond, especially as we head into Q4. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, thank you, Liz. Appreciate your time.